of 18. Enjoy responsibly.
Ngamula TC Chauke on Capricorn FM, Limpopo's hottest frequency.
Right, let's stay on the BRICS conversation and let's look at the BRICS Business Forum kicked off today in Sandton, and delegates from different countries were discussing ways of collaborating. We've got economist Mr. Miyelani Holeni, who joins us on the line from the ISO Consulting. Mr. Holeni, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, and good evening to the listeners.
I thought I saw you dancing there at BRICS.
I think, when you have to dance, for your supper, it's equivalent to what you saw.
I thought that's not what I'm saying. I thought you were having a lot of fun there, dealing with figures and numbers and businesses. Well, it's quite a trove. It's quite an area of attraction for businesses. Talk to us about the environment, who's there and what is happening.
I think starting on Saturday, which was the working groups of the BRICS, and the working groups are about 9 working groups covering the manufacturing, covering the energy cooperation, the aviation, banking, agriculture, and all those other aspects which business people have come out to come and look for trade and to look for partnerships. And that continued into Sunday, which was the 10th, the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the BRICS Business Council. And I think, ending with Monday, where it was resolutions. But today it was really the start of the main conference, which saw the heads of state coming to address, but business people leading and taking leadership with regards to where the business of BRICS is going to, and also deliberating the weighty issues of currency, trade issues, as well as debating the issues of how they trade better as business people. So that was the discussions for today and how the proceedings went.
So very interesting issues, those, currency and trading. Let's start with currency. What is the conversation, what is the direction of the conversation on currency?
Well, I think the issue of currency starts really with the issue of trade, so that before you get to coming up with a currency is to look at the trade settlements. So the issue of trade settlements, which was debated, came to a conclusion that indeed you need to look at a better settlement system, which allows the settlements to be done in the currency of your own or in a common currency, such that you are not always exposed to the fluctuations of the dollar. So that was the overwhelming outcome on that one. I know that there have been a number of articles which were talking about the de-dollarization, of which it's something that is very direct. But the point is that the currencies of the BRICS currently, if I may just give you an interesting statistic, all start with an R. Okay. There's the rand, there's renminbi, there's the ruble, and all the other, the Russian, the ruble, and even the Brazilian currency, they all start with an R. So someone was making an observation that perhaps it's going to be called the R5. But be that as it may, the bankers, for instance, the CEO of Standard Bank, there was an embrace of the fact that the trade needs to be dealt with and addressed, by the banking system.
How progressed is the conversation around de-dollarization? Mr. Holeni? Mr. Holeni? Mr. Holeni?
Can you hear me?
Okay, now I had that last part. I was saying, I wonder if you heard my question, but I was saying, how progressed is the conversation around de-dollarization?
Conversation is definitely still in its infancy. The reason is that countries who are supposed and are knocking and asking to be admitted into the BRICS, that one is a much more greater issue, which is more advanced. Should that issue be resolved upon that the BRICS are going to be expanded, it creates an overwhelming stage for the discussions of currency. Because currently you are simply dealing with 5 countries, of which they can work very easily. But the moment you have more countries joining the BRICS, the issue of de-dollarization will become more advanced and after the admission of the other countries.
Because I was reading that the Minister of Minister Godongwana is saying that we are, perhaps for us, it's still premature to talk about de-dollarization.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it is early stages, and I think, that's why the issue of what was dealt with and what is overwhelmingly being accepted is to look for a settlement, a better way of settlement of trade, as opposed to looking at taking away a particular currency. So that is, I think, the main issue which is at hand. And of course, it's the precursor for discussions such as those that looks at which currency or which method do we then adopt that will be beneficial to all the countries that come on board.
So is the R5 gaining traction?
Well, the R5, I think, is a theory, just like the BRICS started as a theory. But I think after the conclusion of the summit, we believe that there will be a better and clearer direction. But let's also talk about the other issues. I think the other issues that came up overwhelmingly is the issues of food security.
Okay.
Not only food security, the likes of Brazil are also looking at how they use crops to aid in the energy equation, the energy mix for themselves, so that they've managed to achieve food security, and the excess crops are now being used as the feedstock for biomass, to produce gas, to produce biodiesel, to produce bioenergy, and all of those ones. So the issue of energy also came up in an overwhelming way because of the fact that these countries that are being represented are supposed to be taking a lead in their various geographies or in their economic blocks with regards to innovation, with regards to the low carbon environment. So the main issue that also came up was on the energy side, the low carbon environment, but as well as the food security issues that sometimes we may forget in such an agenda. The other issues was that of the capital markets. The depth of the capital markets insofar as they can fund infrastructure development in various countries. We will appreciate that South Africa is the smaller of the countries. However, size in terms of the population, in terms of the market, would mean that it does not mean that it would not be able to mobilize the capital that is required, for instance, from the New Development Bank. So those are other issues that were put forward, that business and large business and financial institutions need to start collaborating so that they can be able to bring the capital that is required by the BRICS or the BRICS plus countries, such that they can fund their own development and not necessarily be dependent on the Western finance and financiers.
Because President Putin is saying, even from the Russia-Africa summit, that they're able to provide grain and stand in place where Ukraine was able to in some countries. So does that factor in, or did it factor in these conversations as we speak about food security there?
Absolutely. So I think even from the Russian point of view, and we know that Russia produces quite a large amount of fertilizer for the agricultural sector. They also have specialized, laboratories that have produced resilient grain. They also at least have offered that expertise that they have. So in each one of the countries, if I were to sum up, the expertise of what they would provide, the Russians, from an energy point of view, are leaders in terms of nuclear. The Chinese are leaders with regards to being able to maximize the use of water to grow crops, because they only have about 6% of arable land and 4% of fresh water. Yet they are able to produce about food that feeds about 20% of their own population. So that is something significant. If you look at where the Brazilians are, from a biomass and energy point of view, they are leaders. From an Indian point of view, they are leaders in terms of also the energy space, as well as the food security matter. So from a South African point of view, we always must ask us, our question is, are we still a mining economy that is based in terms of commodities, or are we progressing? But of course, we are very strong in terms of financial markets, and that is what we bring as a strength to the summit and the coalition of BRICS.
Yeah, because people keep asking that question, how do we benefit from our our association with BRICS? What do we get from it? And from the engagements you had today, how would you answer that question?
So the simple benefit that we have is, at least if we can get our story right from a beneficiation point of view, we will be leaders with regards to supplying the minerals that are powering the green economy. What are we getting from being a member of the BRICS? We also are getting the fact that, the collective balance sheet of the sum total of the BRICS is what we have access to. We have also access to technology from an energy point of view, agriculture point of view. We also have to learn from the likes of the Chinese with regards to the SMEs. Are 90% of the employers within the Chinese market. So those are the things that, we can stand to benefit in sorting out our unemployment rate, in sorting out our jobless growth, or lack of growth in the economy, of sorting out our energy crisis that we are facing, by accessing the capital that is brought onto the table, and not only capital, but capital as well as expertise from the four countries.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Holeni. We'll be catching up as the summit progresses. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Nathan.
Thank you. That is Mr. Miyelani Holeni there. He is at the summit there, so be catching up with him as that progresses and getting more updates and engagements as to what is happening. This reads on WhatsApp, ANC